3, 2, 1.
Put everything down and crank your speakers up.
It's time for
The Realest Podcast.
Oh yeah!
We got us a new world champion!
And what is going on, guys? You're listening to the Realest Podcast, and welcome. Oh, that's the wrong way. We don't want to get louder. We want to get a little softer. That way you can hear my voice. Welcome to the Realest Podcast, Monday Night Raw, June 12th, 2017. In the return of the Realest Podcast, this is here. It's like Bob's Burgers over here. Juan HD in the chat. Roman Reigns. Where was he tonight? He wasn't there.
He was hiding.
He was mowing his yard.
Yeah. Oh man. Roman Reigns though. Roman Reigns. Yeah. Well, he has to be Superman somewhere else, you know.
Yeah. Why haven't you guys been streaming? I was sad. Well, this is still my yard. It's my yard one.
Oh, somebody was upset. I mean, that makes me feel better.
So, to be honest with you, two things. I got sick and the lack of motivation. So really hard to want to do the show when before we had a lot of results, and now, even though, you know, we still have loyal viewers, we don't get the results that, you know, that we were getting this time last year. And it's, you know, it's me not doing it because, you know, I felt this way before and I still did it. But everything is, you know, just coming down with the family issues. You know, my grandmother still kind of gets to me. Me being sick, motivation, just a lot. But before we get into the Monday Night Raw review, I do want to say that if anybody hasn't seen Omega and Okada 2 at the last pay-per-view that New Japan Pro Wrestling had this past Sunday, you have to watch it. Better than their Wrestle Kingdom match, probably the best match I've ever seen. Better than Shawn Michaels' Undertaker.
You know, it's just that feeling of the New Japan Wrestling. They always put on a great show, and you know, you kind of wonder, like, where the hell is that fighting spirit when it comes to WWE? Because it seems like we get more of like a standard formula, where New Japan kind of just keeps continuing to push the limits.
Well, I think with New Japan, they're not as kid-friendly. Those guys will hit you. But there was multiple drop kicks, I'm not lying to you, connected. It was brutal. The coffee table got used again. If you've seen the match, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it probably after the show.
You still have that link, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching it for sure.
All right. It is worth it. Very worth it.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to keep up with New Japan because, like, I don't really tune into it regularly, so I'm not sure when the pay-per-views are, and then when you tell me that they're there, it's like I rush over and see them.
Yeah. But let's get into the Raw review. I mean, it starts off, and they were smart.
Yeah, on it Raw.
They competed again tonight with the NBA Finals, so it makes, you know, it does make sense for them to have Lesnar.
Well, it's not just the finals though. Like, they're dealing with the Major League Baseball draft as well. So I mean, it's like you're getting both of your major
franchises. The draft isn't as big as the finals. Like, the draft is on the MLB Network. Finals.
Well, I mean, you got your hardcore baseball fans are gonna be watching the draft. You got hardcore basketball fans gonna be watching the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, people are more, you know, probably more interested in the NBA Finals, so they do this first. Obviously, that way you can catch it early. It was really good that they let the guys touch and let them Brock Lesnar kind of showed. Samoa Joe kind of put him in his place. And as the picture shows, he looks like he's having an orgasm. He didn't look happy.
No, not at all. I mean, you knew that this was going to be like a huge brawl waiting to happen. And I think they played it off very, very perfectly. I'm excited to see this, and I can't wait for this to happen. I mean, just really think about it, though. I mean, who the hell would have thought that we would have had Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar in this same ring together about a year ago, you know?
Yeah, this will make money. This will make a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
money.
Yeah. I mean, this is a dream match for sure.
It just sucks that obviously Joe's not going to win this. Like, oh no, I gave my prediction away. Oh god.
You know, I have a feeling that Samoa Joe is going to dominate a big chunk of that match, and then Brock Lesnar is just going to destroy him at the end.
Hopefully, it's just an all-around great fight. I want them to, and Corey Graves said it today, I want it to feel like a big fight feeling. I don't want, because for God's sakes, Michael Cole says it every time that Brock Lesnar's involved in something. That's a big fight feel. This actually feels like a fight feel because Samoa Joe has an MMA background. Lesnar obviously has an MMA background.
Right.
So, just let the big fight happen. Let them go. Let them go 60 minutes. Okada and Omega did it. They surpassed 60 minutes. And wow. Kev's in the chat, and I'm going to tell a story real quick before we go. So, Kev and I are watching the pay-per-view together. Some dude was streaming it on Twitch, so we're watching the pay-per-view together on Xbox, and we're talking in the match right before Okada and Omega. We were like, man, I'm gonna call it a night because I still thought there was 2 or 3 matches left. Come to find out, it was the match before, and he doesn't have a computer like I do, and he doesn't have the abilities to click on that link to watch them. I do, so we're sitting here and we're talking as I'm watching the Okada Omega match, and he's sitting there. What's happening? I'm like, dude, this is badass. I'm fucking pissed. Why? We shouldn't have went to bed. Michael Andrews says, what I learned from the beginning is Enzo and Big Cass can last 2 hours without being attacked. Oh, can't. You're probably saying can't. Let's talk,
yeah, that's probably it.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting story, and for me, it's surprising. We've seen it far too often, where a hot team is brought up from NXT and then forgotten about, and we saw that with the Ascension. We saw that with Enzo and Cass, and that's really heartbreaking because the two of them were really hot in NXT. And they just didn't get to the level that they needed to be, like with the Tag Team Championships, because you have the Revival. And the Revival were just starting. And they were so darn good that they just couldn't afford to let them drop the title. So, they bring Enzo and Cass up. And for a while there, it looks like Enzo and Cass are a shoo-in to win the championships because, we don't really have decent tag teams on Raw. Fast forward a few months, and we have the Hardy Boys, and we have Cesaro and Sheamus, and now all of a sudden, Enzo Amore and Big Cass really don't have a good role. I mean, you look at what they've done since they've been brought up, and it's really sad what they've sort of done to them. They've taken every opportunity to kind of separate Enzo and Cass and make them seem like more of a manager fighter role, where Cass is the brawler and Enzo is just that dude who's tagging along. You have Enzo getting beat up half the time, get knocked out by someone, and then you have Big Cass running to save the day, and you have him going up against Rusev 1-on-1. Really trying to highlight what he can do, and kind of branch out to, okay, we're going to test the waters with him and see if he's going to be the next singles competitor. And now it's like the fruit of that is finally coming to fruition, where they're like, okay, we tested the waters with Big Cass. We know what he's capable of. I think it's time that we split him up from Enzo. And that's what we're starting to see now. Is it sort of seems as if they're getting to the point where they're going to break them up. And, it's, for me, I look at it and I'm kind of like, why ruin a good thing before it really had a chance to get off the ground? Yeah, Enzo and Amore aren't the best tag team in the world, but they were definitely over. And, they definitely paid their dues in NXT, then I would have at least paid them with a championship run. You know, it would have been a lot more meaningful to me to see those two split up after they lost the championship, or have Cass sort of throw away the championship because he's tired of working with Enzo type thing. What they're doing now is you have like the Big Show coming in, and Big Cass is like a jealous little 5-year-old, and Big Show is taking his spot, and he's starting to get jealous over it and angry over it, and that's going to blow to a head, and him and Enzo are going to break up because of Big Show? Question mark. So I mean, that's the way it's looking at for me. It's like there's a time and a place to make a heel turn, and it seems like they're kind of pulling the trigger prematurely for me, because they want to kind of branch those two apart. I honestly think that it's a little too soon, but I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's attacking Enzo Amore?
Who's attacking Enzo Amore?
Not Big Cass. I don't care about tonight. Who's attacking Enzo?
Well, my best bet is I would have it be a tag team that has yet to be really showcased. Somebody that they're bringing up, like if it was like the Authors of Pain, something like that. Like somebody that we haven't seen yet that they're sort of saving to kind of bring it on another heel tag team. We know that's not the Revival. They kind of have already ruled that out. So yeah, I think it would be interesting if they bring up a tag team and have them responsible for it. But it looks as if they're going to be pointing a finger at Big Cass. Or even Big Show. I mean, I don't see the reason why it would be somebody like Big Show. It has to be a tag team. I mean, why would it be a single,
I've got to.
Okay, let's hear it.
It is either the Revival or it is Big Cass. I think something happened tonight where I don't think he had somebody do it, but I think he did get attacked. Could have been Big Show playing the jealousy angle, of course. But I do think it's Big Cass or the Revival, because if it is the Revival, let's not forget what happened while both tag teams were in NXT. Granted, it was NXT, but those matches they had were outstanding. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna go with.
Well, the hardest for me to believe is that Cass turned on Enzo because he was jealous of the whole Big Show thing. Like, this is only a 2-week thing that the Big Show has been involved. And he's been attacked since, last month? It's been almost like 3, 4, 5 weeks, something like that. So, for me, you kind of wonder, okay, why is Big Cass attacking Enzo Amore? What is the motivation behind it if he is the person that's attacking Enzo? Like, how do you justify that if it's not a tag team?
Cass could just be tired of losing, because Enzo is a big reason why they lose.
I don't know. For me, I feel like, especially with tonight, I blame that on Cass. It's just like Enzo said, hey, he got knocked over the head and he was done. It's pretty bad. And it's like I said, that I had a problem with that tonight because they made Enzo. They didn't make Enzo look weak at all. They made Cass look weak because Enzo was getting double teamed the entire time. You can't fault him for that. That doesn't look bad on him. That looks bad on Cass because Cass got hit once and he's on the ground rolling around like a little baby, the entire night. So I mean, I don't know. Like I'm not really behind what they're doing with this potential breakup, but I don't know. Like, they really have to have a compelling story to get me behind this angle. I feel like if they're going to break them up, they really need to make this worth it because, I mean, I honestly don't think Cass can make it on his own. And I say that because of mic skills.
Yep, I was just about to say that.
I mean, he's good with wrestling.
He's good at a follow-up.
But when he talks, like, there's times where I'm just cringing at the things he says and the way he says it. It's like he talks slow, and the words choice that he uses is like on a 5th grade level. or at least it feels like that. Like he's really dumbed down. And I don't know whether or not that's just the way that he talks because he's nervous, or like because that's his character, or what. And for me, I think a person can get away with being a bad wrestler in the ring to a certain extent if they have really good mic skills, which is why we tend to put up with guys like Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore, doesn't matter whether or not he can wrestle like Bret Hart. He can back it up on the mic. And as long as he has a strong mic skills, people aren't too concerned about the wrestling ability because they come to hear him talk. Which is the same thing that's going on with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's not a wrestler. We don't go to see Paul Heyman wrestle. We go to hear him talk. And it's the same thing with Enzo Amore. But I don't think that you can be a good wrestler in the ring and have poor mic skills. I feel like there needs to be a balance. I don't think you can reverse it like that, where you can kind of get away with the other way around.
Yeah. I guess we'll just have to see what the future holds. Like, I think the best. I think it's best for something to happen. I'd like to see it to be the Revival. I really miss the Revival. But
I would too, but I feel like it should be a tag team, because if it's just Cass, it's kind of like, okay, well, you're just sick of losing, so you decide to attack your own partner. Why not just turn your back on him publicly?
Yeah. I think, what I don't get is you get attacked. How do you not see who this person is? Realistically, if you get attacked, you're going to see who it is. Unless they beat the total shit out of you and you go into a coma and you're like, what happened? You gotta remember, I get what they're doing. It's good TV because it's getting, we're talking about it. And we're not talking negatively about it. But, realistically, but a lot
yeah, I'm curious about it, but, it's just like, where are they going?
But we also have Elias Sampson versus Dean Ambrose. Elias Sampson comes out with a win after a weird distraction by The Miz. I really didn't think of anything of it.
I think they're setting up for a triple threat at Great Balls of Fire. I mean, the three have been in this constant state of like coexistence since the last few weeks, and one way or another, Dean Ambrose is getting screwed over by The Miz or Elias Sampson. So it kind of makes you think what their direction's going to be, but I feel like it's going to culminate in like a triple threat match at Great Balls of Fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Sampson's going to eventually be something big. I really do. Because he has natural heat.
He does have natural heat, which is good, but we really didn't get to see too much of him in NXT. Because he got hurt too. So it's like he got hurt. He came back, had like one or two matches in NXT, then got pushed up, which I was actually surprised that he got moved up so quickly. Given the fact that he was hurt.
Yeah. I think he's got potential for something big.
Oh yeah, we'll have to see what goes on there.
Cedric Alexander defeats Noam Dar, while Noam Dar is FaceTiming his girlfriend. Let's sit back for people that watched Raw. Take a moment here. Noam Dar walked down with FaceTime over the Jumbotron. Everybody can hear it. Alicia Fox's annoying voice. Noam! 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 Through the entire match. And, it seemed like it was pre-recorded because Noam Dar is over here. But, babe, I gotta hang up. But, babe, I gotta go. I got a match. But, babe. It was bad. Cedric Alexander wins in maybe 3 seconds. can we please start tossing the rest of the dirt on Noam Dar in his burial?
They have destroyed Noam Dar. When they had the Cruiserweight Classic, I was singing so much praise for Noam Dar. When he first came to the main roster, I was singing so much praise for him. And then all of a sudden, they do this whole girlfriend angle, and they're still doing it. And I have to ask myself why. All they have done is ruin his character. And they've trying to make it more kid friendly with the social media. I can't tell you how many times where New Day came out and they had a match in which somebody was recording on Facebook Live, and you can actually see the match go on live from Facebook Live. They've done that before, but this was to a next level. This was so bad.
I muted my TV.
I don't blame you. I mean, there's only so much that you could take, and Alicia Fox, she's a good wrestler to a certain extent, to where she is kind of entertaining, but her voice is so scratchy. It's like that. It's like that chick with the high pitched voice, and oh man, it just hurts. And then for that to be going on the entire time, and then you have that 3-second match, that's frustrating. I mean, I'm tired of the squash matches with the Cruiserweight division. The Cruiserweights are the women of the pre-Women's Revolution era. That's terrible. Why do they do this to their talent?
Yeah. But let's. I'm gonna catch up on the on the comment section or the chat. Mike Andrews says his theory. I think the Revival face Enzo and Cass at SummerSlam. The Revival is falsely accused and takes it to offense. Before the match starts, Cass then beats the shit out of Enzo. I think you could have that happen, but the only change I would make is you would have Cass at one point not get a tag. As a hot tag is about to come in, he jumps off the apron and walks out, leading to a storyline between Enzo and Cass. But I do want to say this, and this is going to be about the Cruiserweights. Kev is still in the chat. He'll say the same thing, and I'll read what he says. So Kev says during the Cruiserweight Championship in New Japan, says, are all Cruiserweights gay? Because the match really did start slow. For a little bit, it seemed like a gay porno. So he's like, I guess just all Cruiserweights are gay. Like, it's just bad. They're all terrible. At the end, he says, I think I falsely accused this. They're actually really good. I said, yeah, dude, this is New Japan Pro Wrestling. So
I actually really take offense to that. Like, the cruiserweights are good. The wrestling in the cruiserweight division is good. The problem is that when they adopted them on Raw, they threw in all these bullshit stories and put the squash matches in. And that's what killed it for me. Because if you watched a Cruiserweight Classic where Triple H was running things, man, every single match was compelling. There might not have been excellent storytelling like the UK Championship tournament, but at least the matches were entertaining. And that was the thing. Every single week I had to tune in because of how good the matches were and how unpredictable they seemed. Nobody ever would have thought that TJ Perkins would have won the Cruiserweight Classic. Everyone thought it was going to be, Kota Ibushi or some are even saying Cedric Alexander real early on, or Rich Swann because we knew something about the guy, but he never really got his break in NXT. So it's like the unpredictability factor and the great quality matches is what kind of, breathed like this new creative excitement into wrestling. And once Raw got a hold of it, their creative direction towards the cruiserweights and how they sort of abused the division, making them the old women's division where they gave them 15-second squash matches, isn't helping their case. They think that by having multiple matches that are that quick, that they're showcasing their talent, or at least putting them on TV so they can be showcased. But it's really hurting the talent because they're not getting the storylines that they deserve, and they're not getting the screen time that they deserve. You have 3 hours. Use it wisely. there's a lot that you can cut out, and a lot of that chunk is commercial time, which you can't avoid.
Right. Again, got to catch up with the chat here. First off, we're gonna say with Kaz. Kaz says, "Nah, WWE cruiserweights are gay. WWE by far are cruiserweights are gay in WWE by far the best in New Japan Pro Wrestling." Michael Andrews says, "WWE needs to adapt to the new style of wrestling. They won't, and they can't. Reason being, the new style of wrestling is not kid friendly. It's very brutal.
Mm.
They're
I agree with that. I think that with the current administration, they won't adapt to it. I think that you won't see an adaptation to it until Triple H is sort of taken over the company. I feel like that's when you'll see, the change start to happen to where you're going to be seeing more edgy content on TV again.
And that's that if they ever go back to PG-13, which I don't see them happening because of the sponsorships they have. So
Yeah.
in partnerships, so I wouldn't
Yeah,
see them
but
doing that. They're gonna wrestle more clean.
I will give WWE credit though. Towards the end of the year, towards WrestleMania, they did start to get a little edgy and get away with it. It wasn't like anything outlandish like New Japan, but they did try to do that, and I'm actually hoping that they go back to that type of formula, to where they kind of make it a little bit more edgy in certain areas, so that it's not keeping that PG vibe, but it's still staying within the parameters that they hope to keep it. I mean, you're not going to have another Attitude Era. Then that time is gone. There's no possible way you're ever going to get something like that again.
Yeah. So I don't. Plus, some of the moves they do are banned, and like the pile driver, for example, broke Stone Cold's neck. Now for a while, and the pile driver is the spinning pile driver is Okada's special or signature move. So Kevin says by far the best wrestling he's seen is from New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's a good argument. It is a good argument. But moving on, Seth Rollins confronts Bray Wyatt. I really don't want to get into it because it's just going to be a match that's going to happen at Great Balls of Fire. Apollo Crews defeats Kalisto. Who cares? Sasha Banks, Mickie James, and Dana Brooke defeat the Raw Women's champion Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, and Emma. And let's talk about Bayley's promo. Bayley's promo was awful. Like, I didn't come into here wanting to put people in the hospital. Bullshit. You're a wrestler. You're there to fight. Your job is to hurt the other person. Continue to dig her hole for her burial.
We said this so many times at the beginning of this. Like, she has talent.
She's the best.
She used to be good at
women.
She has a lot of talent. Problem is that the way that they're going to book her, they're booking her like Roman Reigns, and that is what is happening. See, there's nothing wrong with Roman Reigns, and here's Juan. He's going to be perking up. Yes, they're saying it. The Roman Reigns, when you get down to it, he can wrestle. He really can. There's been times where he's putting on excellent matches. It's just the only problem that people tend to have with Roman Reigns is the way that he's overbooked. People don't want to see Roman Reigns as that guy because there's other people that they would rather see. Like when Roman Reigns was getting popular, it was Daniel Bryan that they wanted to see in that situation. Daniel Bryan's hurt now. So there's other people that they'd rather see in there, but Roman Reigns continues to get pushed. And, that's what they're doing with Bayley. They're like, okay, well, she's the next big star. She's going to be the female John Cena. She's going to be the role model for all the women. We're gonna book her to a certain extent, and the problem is that the content that they're giving her is really hurting her. I mean, that This Is Your Life segment was terrible, and the only saving grace of that, and a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me on this, but I would say it was Alexa Bliss. I feel like even though the content was crap, she was the only one that was able to kind of turn it around to where it was somewhat bearable. And Bayley did not help at all. And the promo with tonight was painful. It really was. So they got to stop. They got to do something different with Bayley, because if they don't, they're going to end up putting her in the same zone as Roman Reigns. And people are just going to not want to see Bayley. And I hate to say that because Bayley is such an extraordinary talent. And there's so much that the fans actually look forward to seeing with her.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the rest of Raw. It's so bad. Moving on, Heath Slater and Rhino defeat the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, and a Bear. Which was Dean Ambrose. Or, I'm just not even going to get into it. Neville attacks Rich Swann.
Yeah, it looks like they're branching away from Austin Aries, which is smart because Austin Aries didn't get the job done once again. It looks like they're probably going to take time away from Austin Aries to have him off TV for a while. But now we're going back to Rich Swann.
Yep.
Kind of interesting move there. Out of a lot of new talent, I was hoping that Mustafa Ali got a chance to kind of get into that limelight. Or Akira Tozawa.
You should see Cedric Alexander get that.
Or Cedric.
He's
I
on
mean,
TV.
the problem with Cedric though that we're having again during the Cruiserweight Classic, phenomenal talent to the point where people gave him a standing ovation and begged Triple H to sign him. And you get to Raw, and the only matches he's really had are matches with Drew Gulak, Noam Dar, or Tony Nese, and all of which have been either Cedric Alexander getting his butt kicked or Cedric being dominant over Noam Dar. So we really haven't seen too much of him and what he has to offer. He's kind of in that limbo right now to where we don't exactly know exactly what he is or who he stands for. He's just that guy who hasn't had that much television time.
Yeah. And then obviously the main event being the Hardys versus Cesaro in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Both teams get one fall and it ends in count out. Obviously leading up to another match at a pay-per-view. Lay Sai.
It was a decent match.
It
It really was.
I mean, it's just
But, I mean, it was a predictable finish. I mean, obviously. Yeah, well, yeah. They want to save the match for Great Balls of Fire. And they want to make it seem like it's even. Now, the question is that what is going to happen with this match? Because there's a lot of things in the works for this pay-per-view in terms of heel turns. Do we see the Hardys break up at Great Balls of Fire? Or after Great Balls of Fire, do we see Enzo Amore and Big Cass split up at Great Balls of Fire? There's a lot of the same similar storylines running to a little coincide one another there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just tonight was bad. It was really bad.
Well, that's when.
I take it back. All cruiserweights aren't gay. It's just Neville. Neville's my favorite in that class.
Neville's good. Neville's good.
Somewhat revived the
And
cruiserweight division.
He's the only heel in the division right now. Like the only legitimate heel. But it's starting to get to the point where are we going to keep the title on Neville or are we going to kind of branch out and see what else we got going on?
Yeah. But final thoughts, what do you think?
I mean, standard of Raw, but I see a lot of potential in what we're seeing. It looks like Sasha Banks is moving on to Alexa Bliss, which I don't know about you, but I'm excited for. I'm kind of curious what's going on with the whole Enzo and Big Cass thing and how that's going to play out. And I'm definitely looking forward to Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. I think that's going to be a really good match, and I think that it's going to be very satisfactory, and I hope that it's not the last time we see those two go at it. I hope that we have at least another match or so between the two because it really is a big money match. It's something that people have probably thought about, but never thought would ever happen. And I think a lot of people were surprised that Samoa Joe won the Fatal 5-Way. I was actually hoping for it. I thought that was the best case scenario because your alternative would have been Finn Balor. In that situation, I don't think that you should put a guy like Finn Balor up against Brock Lesnar because you know that they're not going to have a returning Finn Balor destroy Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, that's going to do it for us. It's a good show. We'll be live tomorrow, obviously, with a SmackDown Live review in New Orleans. So, until then, till tomorrow night, for Andrew, I'm Blake Carter. Peace out.